Hi, everyone, and good morning to you all. We're so excited to have you here. We are going to start. We know others will join us, but if you can, if you see a seat just before you, maybe you can move to that seat so that it will be less disruptive when others are coming in. We are going to get going, and we are going to start with the Dean of Faculty of Business and Computing, Chris Shinkers, who will take us in welcome and territorial acknowledgement. So, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Opi. Israel, bonjour, and very good morning to all of you. It's a real pleasure to welcome you at this tech event, tech industry panel. And before starting this gathering, I would like to start this event and this morning in a good spirit by acknowledging that all UFV campuses are located on Stolotomok, the traditional territory of Stolo people of the river. And I'm raising my hands to them to thank them for being the steward of this beautiful land since time immemorial. You know, the territorial acknowledgement, it's more than just sweet words at the beginning of a meeting. It's an act of respect for indigenous communities, but it's also an act of knowing ourselves and acknowledging who we are and where we are and who we are in relation to the land. And I think it's very important to reflect on that aspect. And I would invite you to reflect on the contributions of indigenous communities to our societies. Couple of words about this event. Coming back on this tech event. Couple of words. Sorry. First of all, it's really a pleasure to welcome you all here for this great event organized by the School of Computing in collaboration with CECE, so the Center for Experiential and Career Education, and supported by the Computing Student Association. So thanks a lot to all these stakeholders for organizing this really great event. And as you know, technology is evolving very quickly, and it's almost impossible for universities and higher education to catch up and to follow the emerging trends in industry, in the tech industry. And in this context, we really need to learn from and to work with industry experts to be sure that our programs and what we are doing in the universities is still relevant. And I think that this event is actually a wonderful opportunity to hear from our experts this morning. And just to, first of all, for us to learn, us as the School of Computing, the School of the Faculty of Business and Computing, but more importantly, for you as a student, actually, to be inspired and to know what is the world outside. And I would say today we are really privileged and we are really lucky to have with us an amazing panel of experts, and each of them bringing their deep knowledge, experience, and input from the tech world. And I know that a bit later, OP will introduce our panel and give you a little bit more information about our experts. But as I was reading the profile, I was really amazed by the diversity and the background of our experts this morning. And I think that shows how complex the tech industry is and how rich it is. So, and it's really that shows something. That's really show that it's it's more complicated than just curriculum and just like some classes and what we learn in the classroom. We really need to learn and work with experts. So again, thanks a lot for being with us. It's an amazing opportunity for all of us to learn from you. And well, to all students in the room, I would like to say that this event is more than a learning opportunity. It's a chance to envision your future in the tech world. So I would say, please engage with our panelists, ask questions, and let their journeys and their experience inspire you on your own path in the ever-changing field of technology. So please use this opportunity for inspiration, for learning. You are here with experts. They know more things that you can formulate. So try to learn, try to be inspired. I think that's the word, be inspired. And I would like to thank now, again, our panelists for being with us, for sharing their time and their wisdom this morning. And I would like to thank all of you for being here this morning, to take the time to come at this event. And a final special thanks to the School of Computing. And I would like to acknowledge the time. I would like to take the time, sorry, to acknowledge people who are who worked very hard in the background to make this happen and to be sure that everything is perfect. So I'm thinking about Rachel, Alana, Opi, Talia. So thanks a lot to all of you, and of course the association, the Computing Association, the Students Association. So thanks to all of you for making this even happen. Well, I would say now, wish you a very good day, and let's the show begin.
All right, everybody. I'm just going to start with a couple quick announcements. First of all, exits in case of an emergency. We've got 2 exits in the back there, and we've got one behind that big green UFV banner. As for washrooms and water refill stations, we're currently having some construction happening, so we can't quite go straight through there. So if you want to go to the washroom, you can go up the stairs and then just follow the hall of building B. Just keep following it, and on your left at some point you'll see some washrooms. There's going to be a water refill station there as well. So at any point if you need to do that, go ahead, and I'll pass it on to Opie.
Right, thank you, Josh. I know Chris has spoken about panel a bit, but here I'm going to give more details specifically to each and every member of the panel. The tech industry is characterized by rapid and continuous change, driven by innovation, market demand, evolving customer preferences. Today, we bring to you well-rounded panelists consisting of CEOs, hiring and people managers, local business owners, tech experts with 70+ cumulative years of experience in the infotech industry. They will answer your questions. They will answer our most popular and trending questions. All your burning questions can be asked during the Q&A. We shall use Slido.com to enable your participation and ranking of questions other participants are asking. Let me give you a specific information about our panelists. I'll start with Opeyemi Adetutu. Opeyemi Adetutu is an IT manager at Amazon. He started his IT career about 22 decades ago as an industrial attaché with the Nigerian. 22. Okay.
Years, not decades.
Okay, 2 decades. Yeah. Okay. I want to add to your age. Yeah. Okay. So 2 decades, yes. He grew as an industry attaché with Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and subsequently worked in several organizations like PZ, Croissants, Guinness, and then the Central Bank of Nigeria. At his career inception, he delved into networking, data center management, IT support, and transitioned his career into information security, cloud computing, IT projects, process improvement, learning and development. He developed technical and leadership skills along the way, promoting organization excellence. Opeyemi has led many initiatives and projects, including infrastructure upgrade from 3-tier to leaf and spine across various locations in Canada, new site builds, application deployments, life cycle management, migration, and integration, among others. Opeyemi holds a bachelor's degree in computer engineering and an MBA. And I'll move to the second panelist, which is Mo Birinwala. Mo recently graduated with a bachelor's degree from UAV's Computing Information System program. He completed co-op work with UAV's IT services and the Canadian Revenue Agency. Mo gained valuable experience through campus jobs and co-op. He currently works as an analyst too at the UAV's IT services. A role is secured pre-graduation. So Mo is somebody who is very, 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 very diverse, you know, doing a lot of things on campus, doing a lot of campus works, and that eventually earned him a full-time role pre-graduation. I will go to number 3, which is Curtis Joyner. Curtis Joyner is the IT application teams led at Cascade Aerospace. He started his journey with Cascade as a co-op student. He has built a strong foundation in leadership and technology through software development and business analysis. Curtis has contributed to and led many successful IT projects, including modernizing the IT applications framework, ERP upgrades, and digitizing paper-based processes. Most recently, Curtis has worked to bring advancements to Cascade's resourcing and scheduling tools by designing and implementing custom software, all while still managing to do a bit of hobby game development in the spare time. Curtis believes the IT industry is rapidly changing environment. It's a rapidly changing environment with many opportunities to learn and connect with others. So today we brought another opportunity for you to learn and then connect to experts from the industry and then connect to people in other programs even within our school. I move to the 4th person, Wim Kerkhoff. Wim is the CEO of many companies, CEO of Crafty Penguins, Kerkhoff Technologies, and Toplift. He leads a growing team that provides advanced Linux and DevOps consulting services to tech companies around the world. Windows managed services to small and medium-sized businesses in the Fraser Valley and beyond. And finally, a work virtualization system called Toplift. 2 other IT service providers around the world that are using ConnectWise or Autotask. Wim and his team have been instrumental in driving continuous improvements in their clients' IT infrastructure. They have created solutions that can grow with their clients' need and complex structures. Wim's passion for excellence is great to solve difficult problems, and his personal and business core values are amazingly embodied by his team. He also serves on the board of directors for Ruth and Naomi's, a local nonprofit organization that helps individuals and families experiencing homelessness, poverty, and addiction. Thank you for coming and joining us today, Wim. I'll go to Kim. Kim Lawrence is the VP of Talent and Customer Experience with Ideon Technologies. I'm not sure if I pronounced that well. Okay. Kim has been with Ideon, a spin-off and subsurface intelligence company from the Triumph Lab, which is from the particle physics laboratory from the UBC. Since its commercial inception in 2020, our portfolio includes customer and employee experience, including all hiring, brand and culture marketing and communications, investor and government relations, community engagement, and facility operations, because it is a startup. Yeah. Kim began a career in business technology industry with Radasat International and Creo Incorporation, Eastman Kodak Company, before entering the academic sector, including a 5-year stint at UAV from 2005 to 2010. Before Ideon, she served for 8 years as AVP, which is Associate Vice President, Marketing and Strategic Initiatives at the University of Calgary. She holds a BA Hons from Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, and did her graduate studies in Business Management, Asia Pacific at Capilano University. And then last but not the least, here is Colin Schmidt. I know the photo may not look exactly like Colin, but here we have Colin. Colin is a seasoned founder, a COO and CEO with a diverse background in technology companies and expertise as a system architect for a range of clients, including non-profits, startups, mid-sized companies, and global enterprises. Colin published his first commercial software in 1995. And MS-DOS equestrian vaulting scoring system. He closed his first larger customer, Horse Council of BC, in 1998. During his time at the University of the Fraser Valley, being also an alumnus, he completed co-op terms for Border Customs, which is Canadian Border Customs today as well, and then Correctional Services of Canada, which he stayed on for an additional year after completing 2 co-op terms. While serving as a COO of iOpen Group, he oversaw all planning and operations for 30 plus staff, launched 8 new lines of businesses in 3 years, and managed the architecture and development of web and mobile apps using a wide range of technologies with both in-house and outsourced staff. Starting in 2016, Colin started organizing local community tech events in Chilliwack in partnership with the Chilliwack Economic Partners Corporation, Community Futures, South Fraser, and the University of the Fraser Valley to run a variety of ongoing meetups, startup hackathons, and game jams. Colin is an accomplished equestrian vaulter and active in equestrian sports governance. So I present to you today the panelists, and I will hand it over to Josh to coordinate the questioning. So thank you very much.
All right, everybody. I'm going to be directing you guys to Slido over here. So when you join online, you can enter the code and you can ask further questions that I'll be asking our panelists. So while I'm asking these poll questions that we sent out via email, you guys can add more questions and vote on those so that we can make sure to get those in. If you guys wanted to direct a question towards one of our specific panelists, you can do that. Just mention their name within your question, and then we'll be sure to ask them directly that way. So first question, are there specific platforms or events you recommend for networking in the tech sector? And I'll open it up to any of our panelists here. Whoever would like to start, feel free to go ahead.
Jump on that one. Testing. Check. All right, I'll jump on this one. So yeah, it's been awesome to work with UFE on community events the last many years. COVID kind of gave us a bit of a hit, of course, but we're recovering from that. So please do get plugged into the Computing Student Association. Thanks so much, Josh, for leading the charge on that. But get plugged into their Discord, be aware of the events they're running. There's competitions across coding about startup hackathons, game jams, and whatever. You definitely want to be plugged into that network first and foremost.
Thank you, Colin. Wim, did you have
Yep.
an answer? Awesome.
So I'll just plug Colin's event is with the hackathon that that was probably 6-7 years ago. There was a student in there I was mentoring, and we've hired him, and he's been with us that whole time. So he's a senior developer now. So I highly recommend engaging in that community. And then LinkedIn is the other big one that comes to mind for me. Is reach out to employers and say, hey, looking for summer job or co-op or internship, and we definitely engage with those and have a conversation. So I'm not in the technical forums or developer forums anymore. I used to be full-time developer technician. That's not my life anymore. I'm not in those things, but I'm definitely on LinkedIn. I'm on there every day posting. So show up.
Yeah, thank you so much. My perspective is problem solve. Ask yourself, what is the challenges that you have? What do you want? How do you get what you want? So for example, you're into IT security. Where do you start from? Do you want to follow a particular OEM or a particular solution? Go to their website, okay? Join the forum that is in there. Watch and learn. There'll be lots of recommendations. For jobs, LinkedIn, it's excellent. Follow people with the skill set that you have. Many of us are on the social media. 72% of the time, an average person is on the social media. You have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have lots. follow experts in that field that is of interest to you. And they will give you up-to-date information about forums. A friend of mine who got a job recently said he wanted a job. 3 months before then, he went to LinkedIn, did some research on the companies that he wanted to work at, grabbed a couple of names and started following them. So when they make a post, he also makes a post. And he started to understand what the company is looking at. And based off that, he did some research and was able to contribute to those postings being made by those people. And guess what? He got a job. So key thing, problem solving all the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Opiyami. That was, I think he summed it up quite well. LinkedIn was coming to my mind as well. Events like these are, especially as students, really useful. Not long ago, I was sitting there as well. It feels a little surreal to be on this side of the desk. But along with that, LinkedIn, it's really a useful tool. But please update your profiles on there. Think of it as an extended resume of sorts, because you can only make a resume for a page, maybe a page and a half too. Kim here will attest that longer resumes are not fun to go over. So think of LinkedIn as that space for yourself where you can put things which probably are not suited for the resume, but you still want the world to know. Yeah, it's a very good tool, and I think you should explore that if you have not.
Oh, on. Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm going to pile on to LinkedIn for just a second and say, when you're posting for roles in LinkedIn space, you can add, I think, about 10 tags for very specific skills. If you're going for a Python job, could you please make sure you have Python in your resume, for example? You'd be surprised at how many don't. So be very intentional with what you're putting on there, because as a recruiter, you actually get served up potential applicants based on how many skills match what you put in your submission. So just be aware of that. I would say if you do not have a GitHub portfolio, highly recommend establishing a GitHub portfolio. So any kind of open code samples that you have that you're willing to share, one of the first things I look for is show me some of your code. Is it clean? Is it commented? Can you read it well? Does it actually do what it intends to do? That's what our software team looks for specifically when they're hiring. We would also typically put you through, if you're a software person, through an assessment tool like HackerRank. If you haven't been on a platform like HackerRank, it actually gives you a code test. It's usually time limited, but it essentially records how you code as you go through the challenge that we issue you. Probably worth going to check out the platform so you're familiar with it. If it ever comes up in hiring process, you'll know what it is. You'll know how to embrace it, I suppose, and not be afraid of it. A couple of other things. There's a platform called adventofcode.com. Does anybody know Advent?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Okay, so I was going to say, if you're a code nerd, like you should be on adventofcode.com. It's sort of the advent calendar of code challenges, I guess.
Yeah, you just get a bunch of problems. So you get a problem every day in the month of December that you get to solve, and then you can get ranked based on how fast you solve it and like how early you are. So usually you want to get up at, midnight and then get it done right away.
Sweet. Couple of other things, and speaking from the Vancouver perspective, so I live in Chilliwack, work in Richmond, kind of circulate in that Vancouver space. The BC Tech Association essentially has most of the tech companies, up and comers, big companies, small companies. We're very involved in it. You can become a student member, essentially come to all the events, meet all the people if you're willing to kind of hoof it into Vancouver, or even be part of some of the Zoom-based engagements. So it's a great way to get to know who's hiring, and what kind of skills they're looking for. Couple of e-newsletters that you might want to apply or subscribe to: the Vancouver Tech Journal and TechCouver would be ones I would recommend, again, just to watch companies that are growing, shrinking, and I know there was some questions about, there are layoffs happening. Sure, there are layoffs happening, but it's happening in a different way now, where when companies are laying people off, they're essentially packaging all of the skills that they have and shopping them around to all the other tech companies in the community, which is a beautiful thing, I think, actually, because they really want to see people land well. So kind of plug into those, I would suggest. And if you're a woman coder, I would say women in Python. If you're a Python coder, there's a great Slack channel for women in Python. I recruit on there all the time. So have a look at that. And lastly, if you haven't looked at some of the IT recruitment firms in and around the Lower Mainland, example would be ITIQ, so IT-IQ. When we're doing bulk software hires, we outsource the culling of a lot of our candidates through ITIQ. You can get into their database with your skill set, which means they're looking at it, they're coaching you on what's in your resume, they're sending jobs out all the time. So probably worth taking a look at that early on. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim.
All right. From my perspective, I think events like these are great. Anything where you can make that personal connection, it goes a long way. Just being able to meet somebody, especially when applying to smaller companies, putting a face to the name and resume, it helps tremendously.
All right. For the next question, from your guys' perspective, what's a specific technical skill that's really in demand right now?
Yeah, let me go for that. So I would say personal ranking, number one would be AI. So if you're within the space of machine learning, data analytics, data visualization, you should be thinking of Gen AI. Gen AI is the present, it will be the future. There's no doubt about it. It's going to change the way we live. The way we interface with the environment is going to change. I'll also say DevOps. Again, still leveraging on your scripting, programming language, basics of IT, a little bit of information security. DevOps is key. Then my third would be information security. As we become more creative and we churn out solutions, new technologies, we are kind of like increasing our attack surfaces and we are having more vulnerabilities. So risk management comes in. What it means is everything you do, your entire life, has vulnerabilities that could be exploited, which means everything you do from, I run an accounting firm, it's a hospital, I have a mobile phone, I have my airports, everything can be hacked. So the more all these three leverages on cloud and we bring in technologies into our life, the more risk exposure you have. So Gen AI, DevOps, cloud, and information security from my perspective.
Can I pile onto that? So
Sure.
yes, and I would say you can't have great Gen AI if you have garbage data coming in. So data engineering, data pipeline work, making sure that the data that's coming in is clean, ready to go. Pipelines are logically structured. That's a big thing for us. Cyber for sure, big deal there. I would say sysadmin. Sysadmin in a small company like ours, somebody who kind of has that generalist skill set of being able to handle anything from network infrastructure and server setup to my laptop just blew up, what do I do? And I would say, I know this question was geared to very specific technical skills, and I think you're going to get that from us, but please do not underestimate the importance of the non-technical skills and balancing out those technical skills. How do you speak to people? How do you explain what you do? How do you pitch a case for something you want to put forward technically? If you don't have those skill sets, you might languish in a space where nobody understands your true value. So please don't underestimate that. And I would also say the person who's the first person who looks at your CV when you're applying to a role is generally not a technical person. So your list of skills is great, but give us some personality. That's an important piece of the equation. And I guess back to the technical stuff. If you're a coder, and I keep going back to Python, we hire a lot of Python coders. There's coding and then there's coding. So we typically want to see evidence of what you can code from scratch, not what you're pulling off the web and editing. What have you built from scratch? And show us how you did it.
Yeah, two main thoughts. So, just going back to the basics, the fundamentals. That's what I've appreciated having gone through the CECE program here. Is the foundations I got on algorithms, operating system, networking, SQL, databases. And because with that, you can basically pick up any language, any technology that's coming out. And there's a there's fads, there's things coming and going every year, there's flash in the pans, all those things. But having those fundamentals will carry you through all of that. So definitely appreciate that. Those things they really haven't changed in 20, 30 years. And then the other side, operations, I just seen with myself, with what I got and people we hire, is people don't understand process, steps in the process, how to optimize that workflow. So we've invested a lot of that, and that's kind of what top left is about. Project management, culture, agile culture. And then big thing from all of that is emotional intelligence. It's not how smart you are, but how well you deal with your own emotions and other people's. So that's huge, and that will take us further than how good we are with some technical skills. So
amazing points, and oh, sorry about that. Amazing points, and I think the specifics have they've really gone into the technical aspect of the question, and I want to talk about the student perspective of it, right? Because we have CIS students as well as CS students here, so CS will be more inclined towards software naturally, but CIS, as Wim suggested, it does involve project management as well. So learning how an organization works is really useful, and that's where my co-op experience really helped me, is to understand how an organization works along with the technical skills of it. Along with that, the ability to learn, which I think as university students we all possess at some level. So just work on that, is that how quickly can you grasp concepts, right? So you are students right now, and you may or may not have worked in a technical setting. So just be prepared to learn things which you have probably not been exposed to yet. So keep an open mind and just take on whatever comes your way. And yeah, that's gonna really help you throughout your career. Hopefully you are not not hopefully, but you probably are going to be switching careers or switching jobs throughout your career. So every time you join a new organization, you're going to have to learn and recondition how you do certain things and how this organization does certain things. So it's good to be able to pick that up as you go along. So yeah, and I leave the technical skills to the experts here.
Right. Maybe something less exciting, but super important is being able to properly analyze requirements and prepare a solution design. Being able to get down to the actual core requirements from what's being asked is sometimes not easy. People will ask for things that they don't really need, and it's your job to kind of dig into the requirements to see what you need to produce and what you need to build. And then preparing a solution design that you can get feedback from other people before you start coding. It's easy to get lost in the code and dive right into the technical implementation, but having a clear solution design that you can review with your peers will only make things better.
I would say that the foundation of your career is going to be based on your ability to ask good questions. You've got to be able to identify the problem clearly. And if you don't ask questions inquisitively about the problem, you may have been trying to solve the wrong problem. You got to be able to identify those edge cases of the problem once it's clearly defined. You got to understand the issues with the data and the scale of the problem. If you can't talk to the customers or across your team, within your team and across the company, you're going to have a huge barrier to your success. All of this ability to ask good questions sets you up very well for the coming AI age, because your ability to interact with the AI will be directly tied to your ability to ask good questions of it. This then leads to your understanding of full stack skills. You need to understand everything from the hardware, the network, the actual protocols, the database, the backend, the front end, and the UX, because even if you're working on one component of that, if you don't understand exactly how you fit in and how what you do affects the rest of the stack, you're limiting yourself and pigeonholing your career, as well as you're going to limit your ability to move between projects.
All right, thank you for those answers. That was awesome. For the next question, what tips do you guys have for students going through job searches? They're going through interviews. What should they be doing?
I think one of the crucial pieces for applying for jobs or searching for jobs, especially if you don't have a lot of industry experience, is creating those personal projects. Having something, like a GitHub account that you can show code, and even better, if you can show the end result, that working product. If it's an app on your phone or a website, it proves that you are actually able to carry an idea through the idea phase to implementation and then show a working product at the end. It's a huge benefit.
All right. Again, as I'm going to play the student experience card here. Obviously, you guys being here and the career fair, which you probably will go after this, is a real boost. Along with that, as I said, CIS and CS, the degrees themselves prepare you for multiple roles across the technical industry. So it's a matter of what you want to do as well. I know I was not sure. I still am probably on some level not sure where my career or where I want to take my career in the future. And that's okay, because that's how you try new things. So unless you are someone who has their mindset that this is what I want to do, or I want to be a cybersecurity analyst and that's what I'm going to work towards, that's great to have that focus. But not all of us have that. So if you don't have that, that's also completely fine. Explore your options, maybe take a look back and see while you were studying or while you are studying what subjects really interest you, and maybe that's a starting point for your career search. So I would that's where I would start, and then build on from there. And then all the tips that you got earlier about how to network and how to find how to get into the door, then you can build on to that. So knowing what you want to do or where you want to take your career towards is always going to be very helpful. And yeah, LinkedIn is great for job searches as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I want to look at it from a perspective of someone that is fresh out of school, right? And trying to find a job. The first question would be, what do you want? Okay, you have to understand what you want. Then I would say, go to the job boards that we have and use the buzzwords. For example, I want to be a web designer, right? Search for those on the various job boards. It could be Job Finder, it could be Glassdoor, stuff like that, and look at the requirements for those roles. Suffice to say that you're likely going to see like 20 requirements. It's usually the HR folks that push that out. But if you check 10 to 15 advertisements, you're going to see some correlations, right? Linux, Python, adware knowledge, people skill. Then see how you can prepare yourself. Okay, do I have the skills? Some of us in class, in school, you've been taught about the motherboard, you're looking at HSync, you're looking at databases, you're teaching you IP addresses. You're going to be like, no, this is nothing to do with Gen AI. It is everything to do with Gen AI. It lays the foundation, right? So if I grab the requirements for the role I'm looking for by visiting various job sites, then I can come back home and say, do I have these skills? If I don't, what do I do to move forward, right? I hone the skills, maybe not 100%, but make sure that you seek out time to learn these new skills and apply for jobs. Jobs will never come to those people that never applied, right? And when I generalize, I'm not saying that it's going to happen 100%, but when you have 80+% compliance, you can generalize, right? Search for jobs. Don't give up. Also remember to tailor your resume. Most of the time, bots basically just, they run through the resumes and they filter out and say, okay, you have, out of 10,000 resumes, I'm pushing 1,000 resumes to you. So look for those buzzwords, okay? And make sure you tailor your resume to fit the role that you have. Then practice your presentation. Communication is one of the greatest challenges that we've had, especially in the IT field. You know what you know, but your job is to make me know that you know what you know. How do you communicate? Many a time, still tomorrow, I used to talk to myself in front of the mirror. Talk to yourself. Fine-tune your thinking pattern. Understand who your hiring manager is. What are they looking for? And how do you do that? You research the company as well. What are the challenges that they're having? What is their 2-3 years forecast? Who is going to be on the panel? Okay. What has the person been doing on LinkedIn? Bring this home together. And one last thing I want to add, of course, you have tons of things to prepare for. Don't be too hard on yourself. I always tell myself, you are going to lose, but you're also going to win. So if you go for an interview and you feel, oh man, I did really bad, don't give up. Apply for the next one. When you have a miss, it's always an opportunity to learn. I used to tell people, change, present opportunities. You can change up, positive, you can change down, you're losing. But the moment you have that change, it opens up a new world for you. Oh, I shouldn't have spoken like this. Oh, I should have asked a better question. Oh, when they asked me, do you have any question for us? I should have said, no, I'm good. Okay? And I'm going to leave the rest for other people to comment on as well. Thank you.
I would say less is more. Instead of applying to 100 or 1,000, because it's easy to click the button and submit your resume, is maybe just pick 5 companies, do the research, get to know them, and then really customize your package. Following instructions is key. Like, we get hundreds of applications for roles and people are not following the instructions. And we actually don't ask for a resume. We ask typically for a cover letter, right, Bukila? Yeah. And we put something in the bottom to see, do people actually pay attention to detail? Do they get to the bottom? So this is a kind of a secret to our hiring, is we'll say, in your cover letter, put the word pineapple or Pepsi. And maybe 4% of 5% of people actually do that. Very consistent. So follow the instructions, and then having a human language, personable language. We see a lot of things that it's out of a textbook from 30 years ago, just old language, to whom it may concern, and all this rubbish. So show that you've connected, that you've checked their website, you checked their LinkedIn, see what they're interested in, that you understand that the company, the role, what's required. Have fun with it. So that's why we put that word Pepsi in there. It's like, we don't want to see the word Pepsi, but can you have a joke with it? Whether you like Pepsi or not. I would never drink it. Like, it's garbage for your body, but just have fun with it. Follow up on that is, if you had that interview, just follow up. Hey, can I get feedback on how I did? What did you think of my package? Just follow up that way. The portfolio, ideally, if it's on your own website, like having your own domain, that gives 1,000 points in our system. If you have your own domain and you're not using a Hotmail or Gmail, that warms our heart, right? So, and if you've got your portfolio there, great. You can put it on LinkedIn, GitHub, all those things as well. Showing alignment, as has been mentioned, customizing your cover letter and your resume for the company, the jobs, and the core values, showing how you align. We're mostly hiring on values, value alignment, not so much the skills. Can you learn? Do you get the bigger picture? Can you build trust? Don't mention the table stakes, like saying, I'm a team player, I work hard, I know Microsoft Office. Like, that's just tables. Don't mention that stuff. I can learn. Yeah. I'm a problem solver. Yeah. I should hope so. And this is two-way. So you're being interviewed, but you're also vetting the company. Like, do I want to work here? Do I like these people? Could I be here for 5 or 10 years? So you ask questions. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Well, speaking of job boards and stuff, we just launched a proof of concept for the Alberta government for a system named Telinity. We had 2,000 people show up on that site yesterday for a job fair based in Calgary. 90 people applied for their first jobs, and that'll be coming to BC here soon, and it's free, unlike Indeed, if you want to be easily discovered. So just a plug for that project. Check it out. You've got to have self-started projects. You've got to have creativity and solving real problems. So when you're sharing your portfolio with me, we really want to see that as being a key thing. That matters more than almost everything else on your resume, your job history. The other thing is, we here all use ChatGPT. We know what it sounds like. And if you just copy and paste, you're going to be disappointed with your results. Use it for brainstorming, check your work, but don't copy and paste.
Can I just pile onto that one now that I'm no longer dying of a coughing fit? Yes, I can't tell you how many ChatGPT resumes we get that essentially draw the same text from our website every single time. You can kind of look at them in the first 2 sentences, and they're gone. And so, yeah, I mean, easy apply is also easy, but we know it's easy apply, and we know that generally you're not even looking at the company itself. And that's, we hire about 50% for culture, 50% for skill. And to your point, yeah, you can teach skill, but you can't teach fit. Super important. I would say pay attention to the email address that you're using for your applications. Please know sexyhotchick99@hotmail.com. And yeah, align your skills to the ask. So if you're applying for something, make sure that you're actually mentioning that skill set specifically. And yeah. Thanks.
All right. So next question would be, what trends do you foresee developing in the tech industry in the future, and how can students prepare for that?
All right, I'll go first this time. I don't think it's a surprise to say artificial general intelligence. I don't mean sentient, but artificial general intelligence is coming, and it is going to change everything. So you have to think, your students at this point, you're beginning your career, you're hopefully in this industry for 20, 30 years. And if you don't think that's going to make an impact, then you're in the wrong room. So as you think about AGI and how your career is going to morph over the course of the career, you need to make sure that you understand how to be cooperative with it. You need to figure out how it can basically be your new coworker, and thinking that way and getting good experience today with it is really key, because it's going to evolve. And if you evolve along with it and understand its nuances along the way, you're going to be a huge step ahead of the person who simply said, yeah, I know I need to get to that, but you don't really spend the time on it. If you're playing with something like, say, Copilot in VS Code, you're going to probably find that they claim 30% of the code can be written by it. And if you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. If 30% is way too high, you should be accepting 5 or 10%. It should be the equivalent of autocomplete. And if it's anything more than that today, you're probably not doing the type of work you should be doing.
Yeah, I'm not a prophet or the son of a prophet, so I can't look that far out.
That's fair.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would say we're probably not there yet in terms of the IT age. So a lot more changes are still going to come. But while we think about the future, let's talk a bit about the present. Get yourself well-rounded. Okay? Know your onions. Know the basics of IT. Okay? I know we've been talking a lot about programming, about scripting. In the future, those will not be too important again. We're going to have cheap that will write programs for you. We're going to have applications that will code for you. It is good to know the basics of coding. Your scripting, Python, Java, perfect. Get them right, okay? But the future is automation. Has any of us seen science fiction movies? Yeah, just think of that. And you might think, oh, you cannot teleport, right? 400 years ago, if you told someone that a plane is going to fly, they're going to say, no, it's not possible, right? So the future is going into artificial intelligence, like you rightly mentioned. And how do you key into it? You're going to be leveraging your cloud, right? And what does your cloud bring along? Your cloud brings along on-prem, being handed over to someone else who manages it, right? They can scale, they can give you all the benefits of cloud and connect via internet to you. So look at the process path. See where you can key in. Everything that is coming in IT in the future will be cloud-based. You can never go wrong with that. Okay? But in the meantime, think about the future, but don't get too worried about the future. Make sure you're in the present, you live the present, and you move forward in the right direction. Own your skill, become well-grounded. No knowledge is a waste. Not a single knowledge, whether it's hardware, networking, information security, you're doing cloud, your databases, even the physical controls that you have. nothing is a waste. But remember, the future will be based on cloud. It's going to be artificial intelligence in the wildest form that you can think of. Thank you.
Thank you, Opiyemi. Again, very good points. I think it makes my job a little easier to go third or fourth in the line because good points have been made. But if you, I'm going to take a little bit of a different route here. Tech is going to evolve, yes. And as Wim said, we're not prophets, so we can't really predict it. But one thing we can probably be a little certain about is that humans are still going to exhibit human characteristics, right? So try and learn to work with them and be in a position where you can help them with the new tech, right? And that's coming from me. That's coming from a place of customer support, which I do right now. So even though I am a service desk analyst, I'm an IT service desk analyst. A big part of my role is customer service and support. And a huge chunk of what I do every day is just help people navigate the technology we have today, which most of us would think that it's fairly easy to use. Again, but this was not the same 10 years ago, for example. So someone, new technology was introduced in the past, but people have not caught on to that. So that makes me have a job because I now get to help them use that current technology. So there's nothing to say that this trend will not carry forward. So if you are someone who enjoys talking to people and if you like solving issues in real time, I would highly recommend looking into something like that. And it's great to be in that position because you don't need to have complete subject matter expertise on that topic, right? You need to know enough to be able to help the end user. And then obviously there will be subject matter experts who you can escalate things to. So if you want to play in that space, that's also probably going to remain constant in the future. Again, not a prophet, but I think I can make that claim.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think about the only true thing about your future is going to be ambiguity, right? So there's so much happening. Nobody really understands what's going on. If you ask anybody to define AI, for example, they're going to give you a different definition. If you ask people how it works, there's a lot of blank stares in the room, but everybody wants to be part of a conversation. So what you have is actually pretty precious because you're bringing in sort of this, like you're starting in that universe. It's a reality for you right away. So you get it in a different way than the rest of us do. Some of the people that I've seen move very quickly through our organization are people who can teach with humility, mentor other people so they don't feel like idiots, be able to subtly help people along when they're struggling and don't want to say anything. You probably deal with this every day. So yeah, being that bridge between your technical universe and the people who are users of that universe, super important and will take you 30 years, 40 years, well, forever into the future, yes. And I thought of another tip actually, so I'm going to dump on this one. As far as interviewing is concerned, there are a couple of grant programs that are out there that help companies recoup money for hiring new grads in the digital space. It's tens of thousands of dollars that a company can recoup. One of them is called Digital Lift. There's a few of them. One of the best submissions I saw, it was for a co-op program, but this would apply for a new grad as well, is not sure if you're aware of the fact that you can recoup X percentage of my salary by applying for this program. I can help you, and here's the link. I was like, yes, this is entrepreneurial. So yeah, there you go. Didn't want to miss that.
All right. So for the next question, this is about our current economic downturn. What are the impacts of this downturn and more specifically related to the current layoffs that we've been experiencing?
There's always layoffs. There's always layoffs. I mean, ever since I started, there's yes. So it might seem daunting, and it does, when the headlines are, Amazon lays off thousands of people on one fell swoop. It happens, but when they're laying off, somebody else is hiring. So I would caution you against looking at headlines and going, the world's falling apart, it's a total disaster, I never have a chance. Look at other types of companies, look at scale-ups, look at startups, look at, not-for-profits or quasi-governmental. Like there's always an opportunity for people with your skill set. So I just don't get disheartened by that. But make yourself sticky wherever you happen to be. So how do you do that? You distinguish yourself, right? You make yourself that person who can explain things well. You make yourself the person who, goes out of their way to take initiative to I don't know, figure out how to restructure SharePoint because nobody can use it properly in the organization, whatever. But yes, yes to the SharePoint. Yeah, so don't get disheartened by that.
I'll just kind of build off that a little bit as well. Not every company is a tech company. So like Cascade Aerospace, we're an aerospace company. We aren't impacted in the same way with the tech layoffs, yet we still have quite a strong software development team, cybersecurity team, and we're in that space, but not affected by the same types of layoffs at the same times. So, you know, explore other industries, other jobs that still have those IT jobs within them.
Thank you so much. So, again, there will always be change. Every day as human beings, we change, even to the cellular level. So the more we accept change, the better for us. Every change comes with opportunity. When there's a layoff, what are those opportunities that are available to you? I remember during COVID, many companies closed up. Thousands of people were laid off. Millions of jobs were created. Many companies made billions of dollars. For every change, there are opportunities, and you have to search for those opportunities. Right now, the economic downturn is affecting everyone in the world, all businesses, including IT. But guess what? There are some areas of IT that are now receiving funding. So how do I improve myself and increase my value? I've seen people got laid off. A month later, they got rehired back. An IT engineer got laid off, came back as a trainer, right? An HR personnel got laid off, and the person came back as WHS, which is Work Health and Safety. Okay? So, in my perspective, there are certain things that you cannot fight, and that is change. After COVID, this is the aftermath of COVID with economic downturn. Something else is going to happen. Something else is also going to happen. But one thing is constant, and that is the most important skill set that I look for whenever I'm hiring people. What is your problem-solving skill? You have all the answers. You just have to sit back and think it through. You may not have all the necessary skill set in terms of technical and soft skill, but just hold on, sit down, think, and write things down. So remember, when there's an opportunity lost, there's always an opportunity gained. You just need to position yourself. Thank you.
So we haven't been, as with our group of companies, haven't really been affected by the downturn. Like, we're as busy as ever. I guess the way I see it, it's just realignment. Yeah, there's a couple people, thousand people lost their jobs, but I think 6 months later, very few of them would be twiddling their thumbs at home. Like, if people find another place and that talent goes somewhere else, like as has been mentioned, I think a lot of people just end up starting up their own company, getting to something they actually enjoy more. Good people and skills are always in demand. If you got the worth ethics and the values, you'll find something. There's the paradox, I believe, for many years. If you make yourself replaceable, doing good work, documenting what you're doing, automating, streamlining, kind of putting yourself out of work, you're actually more valuable to the company. Not when you hoard, hold on, control and power, black box, no transparency. Be transparent, train others, automate, all those things makes you more valuable. Some of these stats, I dug into these companies that laid off thousands of people, and I was shocked to see that like 30 to 40% of some of those layoff rounds were actually not technical resources. It's like HR and admin, because when you're shrinking, you're not recruiting and onboarding people. So that was kind of a realistic thing on that. Another hiring thing, what we love is people who have a home lab. Who are playing with technology, like doing their own projects, maybe not related to what you're doing in university or in your job, but playing with, could be hardware, it could be virtual, could be code, different things. If you can highlight that in cover letter, resume, discussions, that warms their heart. It's another of those things. Always be learning. Even when you're working somewhere, just have some side project that a few hours a week, couple evenings. I spent probably sometimes 10, 20 hours a week on this. When I had the time and didn't have kids and 3 businesses, then I spent a lot of time on that. learning Linux, learning programming, all sorts of things. So that's helps there. And we can't live in fear of what if this company lays me off. It just can't. You got to be moving forward. When it happens, you deal with it. There's tons of opportunity out there. A scarcity mindset is not good. It's just there's tons of opportunity no matter what. I've been laid off as well. I worked for a .com, started there when I was 17 or 18. And three years later, they ran out of money in 2002 and I got laid off. But within 3 weeks, I had another job in another industry. I was doing Linux and like Perl CGI programming and all that. And I got into Windows VB6 Access SQL Server programming. But I picked it up, learned it on the job, and moved forward. So, yeah, don't worry.
Thank you. Yeah, lots of companies are growing. We're certainly hiring. We have a booth here over at the trade fair. So definitely look for the growing companies, and you want to realize your salary has to come from somewhere. Either it's going to be coming from a profitable company that can afford to hire you out of profit, and that profit may go up and down, but if they're a stable company, you're good. The other option is it's investment. And either way, these are things that you really can sort of verify externally in many cases. You should take a look at Crunchbase and follow where the money is going and coming from. If you're asking yourself, what are the trends? Those trends change month by month. If you follow the money, you're going to understand where the jobs are going. Sure, we're in a downturn, and a downturn means that from an investment perspective, about 50% of the funds that were there at the peak are now missing. That doesn't mean that the other 50% are not going into creating new companies and new jobs. So follow the money.
All right, and lastly, to sum it up, I am a product of the layoffs as well. While layoffs were happening, I managed to find a job as well. So that just goes to say and prove all the points to be true is that sure, layoffs are happening in an X company, but that does not mean that the Y company is still not hiring. So you just got to look for the right opportunities. Never once during the layoffs did I find the job boards go down or the frequency of the jobs that were opening reduce. So it's just a matter of looking into the right places, and maybe a change of perspective as well might be needed because times are changing, and as humans, it's our nature to change with time as well. So don't stress too much about it. And besides, it's not going to be like the situation will not be as different from what it is right now for most of you. You are graduating from school soon, so you are going to be in a position where you will be looking for jobs. If you are laid off, you are again in the same position that you're looking for jobs. So the position that you are in couldn't be any better because you're going to start at the same place. So yeah, hopes are high.
How important would you say certifications are compared to a degree?
I think that's a false choice or dichotomy. Like there's a place for both, and often it's yes for both. But yeah, we definitely look for a mix of both. I've been more towards, I guess, the degree, but definitely seeing some things like let's say Microsoft it's going to be hard to get enough Microsoft skills to support our clients with the university alone. So we definitely pay for our people to take a lot of courses in that area, and with DevOps as well. But it's both having the fundamentals, like just in our IT team, I think the last 4 hires, great on a lot of things to support, but they actually struggle doing firewall setups. So we have to give them a lot of on-the-job training. I believe it's because they don't have the degree and they didn't get the networking body of knowledge, just the basics of TCP, UDP, security. So having that basics of data communication would have helped before they go into, let's say, Sophos vendor training or some other vendors training. Yeah. And I've seen people come apply with a whole list of certifications they've done, 20, 30, 40, and they can't fix a printer. They can't do anything. So I really discount some of that, but we still need it as well. So it's both.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm aligned with him. Both are important. Okay. Sometimes when you're applying for a job, certain certifications are required. So even if you are a master in that area and you don't have those certifications, especially when you're dealing with 100, 200,000 applications, it's going to be automatically sorted, right? So your resume will not even show up. So in such situations, to get you At the door and allow you open the door, you need your certifications. Okay. If I'm going to hire for a security analyst, for example, I'm probably looking at Security Plus, probably if you have CISSP and stuff like that. So these are the information I'm going to push to my HR, and they're going to add more flesh to it and push it into the system. So even if you are an expert and you don't have the certifications, you just won't make the number. Okay. In terms of formal education, I used to have this belief that, oh man, I wasted all my years, 5 years actually, for my first degree. It was never wasted. It forms the bedrock of your career. I keep telling people nothing is a waste. Okay. Even having the courage and the discipline to show up for classes helps in your work environment. It comes in your soft skill set. Okay. So formal degree gives you the foundation that you need. A lot of exposure into your networking, TCP, everything you want to know about networking. You understand what the router does, what your switch is, you understand your WAPs and so on and so forth. You move into your security, right? You want to look at your IPS, IDS, and so on and so forth. You move into your cloud. Oh, what does cloud even mean? How do I run my compute? How do I run my network and content delivery and stuff like that, right? So it might look like pockets of knowledge all over the place. It all comes together to give you the foundation that you need, right? So I would not dispute one for the other. I would say find a balance, and it's on case-by-case basis. Index more on one to the other.
This is a little close to daily life for me as well, because I am in the process of pursuing certifications, but this comes after I completed my degree. So what I've realized is that most of the certifications that I'm doing right now, I studied those things in school as well. So the degree is a proof that, okay, I know what I'm talking about. But at the same time, as OPME just said, that the certifications will give you that extra edge. Most of these certifications, at least at our level, is going to be just a way to show the world that, hey, I know what this subject is or what this topic is. For example, I just completed my CAPM, which is the Certified Associate of Project Management. It's the same content what we study in CIS 385, which is the project management class. But the certificate just gives me a way to get that stamp that says to the world that, hey, he knows what project management is and he knows what the fundamentals are. Along with that, there are other certifications where you are trying to explore something that you've not studied before. So that's a good learning opportunity if you were to treat it as in that sense. If you're just doing it for a certificate, as Wim mentioned, is that just to get another thing on your resume, probably not going to be as helpful because you're just trying to beat the exam rather than learn. I know I'm guilty of that as well. Throughout COVID, I was just nothing to do. Along with that, another important point I want to make is that get your certifications from reputable sources. I know there are a lot of learning platforms which give their own certifications, but they are not as respected or as well respected as an international organization might be. For example, PMI for project management or IIBA for business analysis. These mean something across the world, like the organizations are well known, whereas compared to something from Coursera, sure, it's good, but it's still like you just need to watch the videos, give the exam, and that's about it. So it's not really going to mean that much. That's what I have to say.
Yeah. That's 100% accurate. That's great. I just wanted to give a tip to those who are concerned about their GPA. Nobody's looking at your GPA when you're, so yes, you've graduated successfully. That's awesome. Nobody's looking at your GPA. What we're looking for is breadth of your experience while you're doing your degree. Are you involved in the student clubs? Are you leading? Are you mentoring? Are you doing things on the side? Are you involved in projects? So that's to me like the additional bonus that you get from completing your degree, the accreditations. Yeah, same to your point.
All right.
Yeah, I'll jump in one last one. I'm going to say that first of all, you're in the right place. UFE has been the most successful school feeding into our group of companies, and that's across the entire Lower Mainland. Your degree here is going to set you up very well for long-term success. And when you think about all of the certifications you should or could take, they're going to be I'm going to say flavor, spice added to it. It's not the table stakes. So this is your table stakes, and make sure that you have as broad of an experience here as possible. The other thing I just want to flag is coding schools, those coding boot camps and stuff. Maybe they're fun, but don't think of them as credentials.
Sounds good. So when reaching out to an employer on any sort of platform like LinkedIn or something like that, what would be the best approach to get a response out of an employer or recruiter?
Okay. Just before I answer the question, I just sort of mentioned that we do have some free certifications that are running right now. I think ISC 2, ISC squared. They're running free cybersecurity. The goal is to train 1 million people. So the training is self-paced. I've been in information security for over 12 years. I saw it's free. I did it maybe 2-3 months ago. Everything in there was like a refresher course for me. Doesn't hurt. And I'm not paying a dime. So you might want to look into stuff like that. So I would say, if you're particularly searching out for a recruiter on LinkedIn, clean up your LinkedIn. If anyone sends me a message, the first thing I do is to go check their profile. Right? So make sure that it's professionally done. Your photos matter. Use matter as needed. Use the right word. Make sure that you stand out. Okay? As much as technical skill is super important, I think, was it the May meeting that we had? It was mentioned that one of the major challenges we have right now is leadership in IT, which means people skill, soft skills, okay? Super important. So in your resume or on your LinkedIn profile, make sure you have those explicitly stated, okay? Depending on how you're trying to look for a job, if it's a situation where you have like the details or a way to reach out to the recruiter, I would say do so. Send them an email. Don't make it like 10 paragraphs, right? Straight to the point. I am this, I saw this, I have this background, I'm willing to take on new challenges. If you're willing to have 10, 15 minutes chat with me, please let me know and I'll make myself available, right? Many a times they will not reply, but when they reply, it goes a long way, okay? I've also seen referral as very, very important, okay? Don't underestimate referrals, but when you're referred, make sure you have the skill set, okay? So if you can explore referrals as well, I think it's fantastic. I think it's good.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. On LinkedIn, I think there's a tool that will show you the score and how complete your profile is. You can just go through that and try to get it close to 100 of filling out the skills and not just showing where you worked previously, one line, but put in there like, what did you do? What did you accomplish? What did you enjoy about working there? Show where you did the education, show what certifications you've done. Do some posting. Hey, I enjoyed doing this course or working here, just some activity there. But when you reach out to somebody, what I appreciate is showing a connection that you've looked at my profile and find some common ground of, hey, we went to the same university together, or I saw you're interested in this, saw your picture, love that. And then ask a question that's easy to ask. It's got to be, somebody can answer that in like 3 seconds. A clarifying question about just something, right? The job, or come up with something there. So find common ground, connect as a person. It's social. It's not just, here's my resume, do you got anything? So actually I did a video a few months ago. I collected up like 100, 200 connection requests I got on LinkedIn. And a lot of them are like telemarketers and salespeople. And I know that when I accept it, right away, I'm going to get what we call the pitch slap. Is, oh, can I get 15 minutes on your calendar? Does Tuesday or Wednesday work at 3:30? So I did a video going through it and showing how people do a bad job on that and which ones were good. So connect and relate. We're people.
Thanks. I'm going to say show up at the events. Everything else everyone has said is 100% in line with our experience and how we look at it. But In addition to that, the events that we run here are a chance for many of us who are at the table here to actually see you working actually on a problem. So you go through the hackathon, you work through the game jam. We actually have an opportunity to actually see you work and the output of your work, and that's hugely valuable. Several of our lead developers in management positions now actually started at the hackathon. They did an amazing job there. Some of them won the hackathon, and we hired them.
For those that are interested in more of our events and being involved, as we've been mentioning a lot, just getting some experience, the CSA has a Discord. If you haven't joined already, please join. We've got our office in D building where you can find a QR code to scan it. It's on the second floor. I think it's 224. Yeah. Okay. So D224 is our office, and you can find a QR code there where you can scan it and join our Discord, and you'll get updated on all of our events. We just recently are starting up an IEEE chapter, so we'll be having one of those at UFV, and that'll give us more funding to make bigger events for all of you. So if you're interested in that, be sure to join that. We'll continue now. So first question here, we've got a question directed at Kim. So what qualities are you seeking in talent? This person says they have 5 years of work gap due to flight training. How can they show that their continued relevance as a candidate in IT?
Holy moly, flight training? You know what that takes? You know the commitment that takes? So I look at that. Also, my husband did flight training, so I kind of get it, right? So super technically demanding, life or death situations, problem solving on the fly, calm in the face of imminent danger. There's so many skills that can come out of that you could package into how you present yourself. And also just, I mean, what that speaks to me as to is fluidity, agility in, you're interested in it, you did it. Maybe it didn't work out. Maybe it was for a specific phase of time, but it all feeds, back to you were saying, it all feeds into your overarching offering and what makes you unique. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts, there's somebody in that organization who's like, I really wanted to be a pilot, who'd be super interested in what you're doing.
Sounds good. So a question directed to everybody this time. Students are now more than ever feeling the disconnect between their public education degree and the industry demands. How can this gap be bridged for students?
I strongly disagree. We've said several times so far that what you learn here is a foundation, and you can't move to the current trends without that foundation being so rock solid that you're good in this industry for the next 30 years, despite AI tackling your job.
Yes, 100% spot on. I do understand that you might feel that it's disconnected, but that's one of the reasons we're having programs like this, to reinforce the fact that it is not disconnected. I'll give an example. I was trying to hire someone and I asked one question. Can you explain to me how the data frame gets moved within your LAN? It's probably computer 101. And the person started saying, yes, we look at the IP. I'm like, no. Can you please explain how your frames gets moved within your LAN? And this is like a level 5 job, most likely 6 figures. So no knowledge is a waste. And like we've been mentioning, all the little things that you're going through now, that seems like it's all over the place. It's building character and it's building your knowledge base. When you get to the level that you intend to be, in terms of being an expert level, you will see elements of different things coming from your networking, from your relational database management, from your code optimization and stuff like that. You see them coming together to make you unique. So there's no disconnect. And I believe, I'm not sure that even the government checks the curriculum against the industry requirement. And that is why sometimes you see a course like plumbing, for example. They say, if you go for plumbing, we're going to pay all your tuition and give you this. It's because the industry is feeding back to the government and saying, we are going to be short of this in the next 10 years. I've seen it happen in Ontario, where because of the forecast that there's going to be shortage of IT folks, the government created a program that kind of like give incentive to those that are going into IT. So don't think that it's disconnected. It's not. A little bit more advanced, but this is actually needed. Thank you.
I think this is not a new thing. It's been around probably since the beginning of education and degrees, is there's always a gap between university and the real world. So it's not a new problem. But with, I guess, with CIS, there's lots of things to bridge it. Doing an internship, a co-op already helps to get some real world experience. Doing home lab work, as I mentioned, I'll plug that again. Being willing to roll up your sleeves, because in that first year, it could feel like you're drowning. But just got to work and study and do some things in the evening to really understand that. The industry certifications will help with that, closing that gap. And then the employers really have their responsibility as well. So something we do is onboarding, mentoring, training on the job to get them up to speed. It's obviously in our interest as well to get you productive soon and feeling good. We can't have people that are feeling down about, am I contributing value? Everyone wants to contribute value from day one. So you're letting them win along the way and supporting that way. So it's on both sides.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Wim. You guys are in a great position right now because I'm sorry, I'm having a brain freeze. Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yeah, so for being a new grad, how would you recommend having your resume stand out to, oh, that's the other question.
The old one, yeah.
Okay, well, so the question was the disconnect between,
there you go.
yeah,
Sorry,
disconnect
back
between us.
Yeah, so see, think about it in this way. You are in the same boat as anybody out there, right? Being a student and being a recent grad, you're gonna be a recent grad, so nobody's gonna take that away from you. And you're probably going to aim for an entry level job or a job which is slightly above entry level. So the competition, look at the competition. It's going to be other students and other new grads who also probably have a public institute degree. So in terms of the value of the education, it's going to be at par with the competition. So then the question is, what makes you stand apart? So that's when the certifications come in, that's where the projects come in, and they do really help you stand out. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that, as that don't be discouraged because the next person also has similar credentials to you. So it's, yeah, as you go ahead in your career, as OPM just mentioned, like the example that he gave, that's when you can think about things you can, really do along the way to get yourself to that point. Because obviously if you're getting paid 6 figures, or if you're expecting to get paid 6 figures, the employer expects you to know what you are talking about, to know, expects you that you know what you're doing. So then along the way you need to take certain steps, and you need to get yourself up to speed so as to be eligible and be worth that price tag that comes along with it. But at this moment that where you are, your education is just as good as the next person, and I think that's equals the playing field.
Having said that too, know your competition. And there's a whole angle to this of geopolitical dynamics, if you can believe it. So for example, in the last 6 months or so, the influx of Ukrainian software engineers that we're hiring has gone up. Right. And so just be aware that your competition mix changes, and it is global. And so people are coming out with different educational experiences, and what makes it interesting to kind of assess these candidates against one another is, what have you done to apply what you learned? So back to your point, home labs, maker spaces, all these opportunities where you've taken what you've learned and made it real. And it shows what you love, and it demonstrates your skill. So important. And no amount of government interface on curriculum and rubrics is going to change that. I would also say the proportion of new grads that we bring in who are lacking a certain sense of humility, right? Who think I've graduated and now I know how to do everything and I'm going to tell you how to run your business. You don't. And I'm sorry, that's hard to hear. You know what you need to know, and that's great, but please don't assume that you don't have anything else to learn, because it's going to be, we do cosmic ray muon tomography. Nobody who walks in the front door of our organization knows anything about that, including PhD subatomic physicists. And so just open mind. You have a great skill set, but show us how you're using it, I think is how to differentiate yourself and close that bridge.
Yeah, one more comment from my experiences. I never felt this disconnect when I came out of my degree, because grade 11 and grade 12, I did work experience, and like spring break, like this time, is spent like a week with the local employer. I think grade 11 was with a local accounting company, shadowed their IT manager. He moved to somewhere else in the next year, so I went there as well. He worked at an ERP software company, did that for a week. I didn't really do a whole lot, a couple things on the website, but really just learning and absorbing the language, their world. And then right after grade 12, I had my first summer job in programming. So getting a lot of, my degree took 7 or 8 years because of that, of doing maybe 2 courses at a time and working, but I got a lot of experience and exposure that way. So there was no chasm to fill or bridge.
All right. I thought I'd chime in with my own personal experience on this one, because I kind of like the question. I've been here for 6 years myself. This is my last semester now, and I have felt a little bit of what you mean by bridging that gap, the disconnect and whatnot, when I was less experienced. When it comes to hiring new grads, employers know that you're a new grad. They don't expect you to know every single thing there is to know. You just need to understand how to apply the stuff that you did learn, right? So if you're able to transfer that knowledge and learn new things, that's the most important thing, right? The job I'm doing now, I didn't know the language that I was going to be using when I first started. That's something that I developed over my time there, and something that I was able to pick up rather quickly because of the stuff that we're learning here. So all the different languages you're learning here, whether you use them or not in your future job, that's great and all, but you need to be able to learn new things, right? Your career is always going to be developing, and you're going to be developing as an employee in the future, right? So just show that you can further yourself that way. So that's all I'd have to say about that. So next question, we've got, being a new grad, how would you recommend having your resume stand out to a recruiter where even entry-level roles are asking for over 2 years of experience?
That's exactly why the co-op program exists. If you're not in the co-op program, you won't have the experience they're expecting, and they frankly expect you to have the experience.
Having done the co-op myself, completely agree to that. And that's exactly the mindset that I had before going in, is that I don't want to be in a position where I graduate without any experience, because I know that this is going to be a challenge. So now that you know that's the challenge, you can take steps to avoid that or to tackle that, right? It's not going to be very helpful to be in that situation and then have that regret that, oh, I could have done something, but I didn't do it, and now I'm in the situation. So you can try and avoid that now while you have the chance. Along with that, yes, entry-level roles require some experience, but that's not always just technical experience. Anything you do in terms of work, or even volunteer work, or just side projects, you can, plate it up or present it as experience. Again, that's a skill that you develop over time. But yeah, even if you're working, for example, McDonald's, right? You can get so many things out of it, like your customer service, your ability to constantly work under pressure and deliver results in real time. So these are all very important skills that I'm sure any employer would like to have from a fresh grad. So yeah, don't negate any kind of experience you have. Always try to project it in the best way possible that is suitable for the role that you're applying.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, like you rightly mentioned, everybody knows that you're a new grad, right? You're looking for the core skill sets, okay? The core characters that will ensure that the person that will be a good fit for that role will be successful. And don't be afraid to start small. I knew someone who wanted to go into Glacier module of AWS, tried applying for the big companies, couldn't get a role, applied for a small startup, got a role, 6 months down the line, applied for the same job, now has the experience, right? And was able to get into one of the top 5 big companies, right? So don't despise the days of little beginnings. That's what I'm going to. Start small if that is the case, but don't forget about your long-term goal. The projects that you have in school, the experiences, make sure you showcase this during your interviews and even in your resumes. The internship that you went for in school, make sure you present those as well. Also, there might be volunteering opportunities, right? Make yourself available for those. The most important is always learn along the way. Don't just want to pass an examination because you want to have good grades. Understand what is in there. Don't pass a certification because you just want to have the certification. You can read dumps and not even understand a single thing and pass it. Understand the concept. At the end of the day, you discover that everything is interwoven one way or the other. Thank you.
Yes, and a lot of job postings, that bar is really high because how these are put together is a bunch of people get in the room and say, I want this, I want that, and HR helps to formulate it. And the bar is high. They're looking for Superman. Like, and some are really high, like you need 10 years of experience in this and that, and really nobody's a fit for it. So these companies, they want to hire somebody good. So I think it's okay to apply even if you don't feel like you hit that. But you can put that right in your cover letter, showing that just being humble, that you're willing to learn, you're willing to take training, you're coachable, you got fire in your belly, you're passionate about this is part of your career trajectory. And say, hey, I found XYZ training, willing to do that as well to get to that. So I think people filter themselves out of it unnecessarily, out of applying for what could be a really good job that you can lean into, grow into.
Can I add to that a special note to the women in the room? So women, typically the way it works is that you look at a job description and you realize that you might have 90% but not 100% of the skills, so you don't bother applying because you don't think you're qualified. And dudes will often apply if they have 20% of the and that's actually a studied situation. So please do not count yourselves out. If you're in that situation, I really encourage you to apply. I think a lot of tech companies are looking to diversify their workforce in many ways. And yeah, a lot of women self-select out before we have the chance to even have a conversation. So
Yeah, I'd like to add that, for many of our job postings, it's like what was said, we're posting for the perfect candidate. And in many times, we'll see somebody else that posts that doesn't fit all the criteria, but is still a really good fit for our company and maybe even another position. So often we do bring on those people, even though they're not a 100% match for the posting that we put out.
I think I'm going to just tack on to that for just stress how important co-op is. I think that's a really big part of why I'm not too stressed about graduation myself. I'm graduating with nearly 2 years of experience already. That's like, yes, I've been here for 6 years, but I've gained all of this experience plus a degree. So I'm willing to sacrifice those extra 2 years to take the time to get experience while I'm still here, while I can still practice and still learn and continue to learn. And it's something that I'll be taking with me once I graduate, is just continue to learn and continue to apply what I've gotten from these experiences. And it also helps you with your classes. Believe it or not, it gives you a lot of experience to just be able to tackle bigger projects and bigger problems. And I speak from experience on that. So highly recommend it. If you want to join co-op, do it.
If I may, most co-ops will eventually either offer you a full-time role or it will translate into a full-time role, which is what happened with me. And that was 3 years ago. And in the last 3 years, every year we hire 2 co-ops. So that's 6 people. All 6 of them have been offered a job in some form after their co-op term has been completed. And I think we have one sitting here in the audience as well. So yeah, don't underestimate it. if anything, just do it with the selfish motive that, hey, this might just translate into a job and I will probably end up graduating with a job. So yeah, too many pros not to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like to put onto that, just think about it this way. We were asking about, okay, well, as a new grad, why should anybody hire me, right? Like, I feel this disconnect between my skills that I've learned and the skills that I'd need for a job. Well, if you do a co-op, right, the people that have trained you throughout that co-op, now you have that experience with them. You know how their company works. So for them, they have this whole investment of time into you. It just makes sense to hire you afterwards, right? It's just easier that way. They don't have to train you up. And with co-op, they get refunded some money. So it's cheaper labor in the first place. So give it a shot. For the next question, how would you advertise soft skills like your requirements, refining skill, analyst skills, and learning skills?
Yeah. I think most of these are demonstrated in the interview process themselves. How well you can listen to the questions that are being asked and respond with a meaningful answer. A lot of times we'll ask a question in an interview and we'll get an answer that wasn't anything related to what we had asked, maybe some pre-scripted response, but show that you are listening. If you don't understand a question, simply ask, can you repeat that question, rephrase your question. Communication is a two-way thing. It needs to be done for both sides. So demonstration.
Totally. I was going to say, when you get to the interview process, when you're answering a question, you can give two parts to it, right? And you're like, from a technical perspective, this is what I can bring to the answer. This is the experience that I've had. It was really interesting to me to be able to apply my soft skills through this. And so jam it in there in your interviews, even if, it's sort of supplementing your technical answer. I think the question's more about putting that, how do you put that forward in the early stages before you even get an interview, right? So when you're applying for something, I think it's fair. I love to see people admit things, right? They're like, I have this great set of skills, and I know you must see hundreds of resumes that have the same set of technical skills, but let me tell you a little bit about what else I can bring. I've had this, I've had this, I've had this. I volunteered in Guatemala building. Like there's so much more that you can add that is, you may not think is relevant, but demonstrates those additional valuable skills. Yeah.
I'm going to say that something I don't see enough of that I wish I saw a lot more of is participation in sport, and not just doing the sport, but being involved in the organization surrounding the sport. This is a tremendous opportunity to simply live a healthier lifestyle, which is going to improve your brain power, which is really key in this role that you're looking at. And furthermore, it gives you those soft skills experience, not in a demonstrated way. So look at assistant coaching programs, get involved in the actual organization from a nonprofit perspective. Love to see charity work. All those sorts of things are really key. And I frankly don't see enough of them in today's resumes.
If I may chime in as well, and not to repeat everything that has been said, for sure, in any of your interviews, you will be asked scenario-based questions. 80% of the time, your response displays those soft skills that you have. In terms of deliver result, do you have great ownership of task? Are you willing to learn new things, right? Are you obsessed about your customer if it's a customer-facing role, right? Are you willing to work with others, create that safe environment that you want for others as well? How well do you communicate? So when you are going into the interviews, and for sure, you're going to ask scenario-based questions, make sure you're also prepared for this, and don't shortchange yourself, okay? Make sure that you analyze your narrative to display the actual things that you did. And by doing that, it will let us know if those soft skills actually exist.
All right, I think this is going to be the final question before we wrap up. How much does the university reputation matter in hiring? So something like UBC or U of Toronto or SFU. any of those, right? So how much would that actually matter for like even for big companies or smaller companies?
So this is a bit trickish, right? In my experience, I'm guessing it's probably it depends on the organization I'm in. But I have a question. How many of you have heard of Ladoke, Akintola University of Technology? Okay, you have. What about National Open University of Nigeria? Yeah. So it might surprise you that I moved to Canada fully 2020. Okay. I've never attended any school in Canada, no degree in Canada, no Canadian education. And here I am. In my perspective, it has to do a lot with who you are or you've transformed yourself to be. Can you learn? Can you associate? Are you agile? Are you resourceful? Can you make out time to deprive yourself of certain things right now for a greater future? And life is all about perception, right? If I want to walk from here to Vancouver, I might see it as, man, that is too hot. I'll give a story. So my regional manager ran 10K. And I'm like, you ran 10K? I can't even do 1K. That is perception. I look stronger than her physically. I'm taller than her, heavier than her. But she's stronger because she perceived the 10K as a short distance. I perceived the 1K as, oh my God, I'm going to drop dead along the road. So in my perspective, it is who you are. And the good thing is, like I mentioned, we are changing every nanoseconds. Who do you want to be? It's in your hands. Thank you.
Yeah, just thinking for myself, I was having worked with hundreds of clients. Nobody asked me, what's your education or how many years? Nothing at all. It's about the confidence I bring and what I do and can I help them solve that problem and keep them secure and protected and get that project done. And same for when we hire is, can you do the job? Can you fit in the team? And rarely do we dig into their education or transcripts. We actually rarely do background checks even. Because when you give names, it's going to be your friends and they're all going to be thumbs up. So why waste our time, right? Can you do the job? Some tests. Yeah.
We totally do background checks. We'll do educational verification as well. There's a platform called Certain, CERTN, that we use to do that. But yeah, unless your credential is from what I would consider kind of a fly-by-night organization and it's well known to us and it's been in the news because it's been, it's not accredited or whatever. Yeah, to your point, did you learn how to learn?
Yeah. And if you are wondering with the UFE degree, is it as reputable as other institutes and how do you rank amongst the competition? Well, I'm here with a job as well. I have over the last 3 years, so like that's right before graduation and after graduation, I've had like 4 or 5 different job offers and I don't even apply that actively. So in no way, shape or form has it affected my standing amongst the competition, right? So the degree is just to, again, from a recruiter's point of view, I can't really say, but from someone who's applying, it's sort of just a requirement that the employer needs, and I have it. It's as simple as that. So from what institute you got it from, I don't think it really mattered in my job search. If that gives you any ease.
I want to add to that. Use it, right? Check out who's working at that organization, who's also alumni from your organization. Okay, I confess, I take a special look for anyone who comes through my hiring process that comes from UFE. Piece of my heart's here. I know what kind of quality of education is here. And I will also give that candidate perhaps a little up on a UBC grad because I know that you're in a small classroom having meaningful conversations as opposed to in a giant, right? So there are all kinds of people in these organizations who have those types of biases, I guess. Use them.
Yeah, I think that's right. And we've had co-ops from many different universities, and it really is about the person, not necessarily the university. So
Last thing, you may be able to spin it. You're going to have 1 or 2 lines for your university. You might as well have a line in there that you've benefited from UFE small class sizes to have a higher quality education. Spin it.
I was going to add that too. But yeah, I mean, like even from UFE, if you're worried about getting in at like a big tech company because you want that big salary or whatever, we have some grads that have made it to some very big companies. We've got some at IBM. We've got some at Meta. One of our last presidents is currently at Meta. So there's opportunity. And as Colin mentioned, just spin it, because you have these small class sizes. You have the opportunity to directly speak with your professors and get feedback directly, right? I have a brother who's at U of Ottawa, and his class sizes are massive. He doesn't really get to talk to his professors. He gets to talk to a TA. It's not as helpful as you would think. So having the big name on your resume, it might maybe help sometimes, but I would say that smaller class sizes is definitely a benefit to everybody. So just thought I'd chime that in. And I'm going to pass it on to OPME to close us out.
Very good job, Josh. And to the panel, this is a very informative session. So, we've been talking about UAV small class sizes. We're doing a great job. Yeah, I trust my colleagues. I mean, I know what I commit anyways to my classes. So, and I trust my colleagues are doing excellent job as well. I mean, we've got people in Amazon. I know people directly from my class, software engineering. I remember then. And then they told me the projects they did in the class was one of those things they explained during interviews. So when you have projects in classes, give it your time, give it your energy. I mean, I've gone through the process. I interview with big tech giants, sometimes just to have experience so that I know what to bring into classes. I mean, I've done that. I've done that with Amazon, I've done that with Google. So I do those things just to have the experience, to know what it is, to know what to bring to classes. So take advantage. You've got great professors here, and we're doing excellent job. So thank you so much, to the panel. Let me just, use this opportunity to appreciate every one of you. I mean, I know it's really, really busy. I know there are commitments here and there, but still you made it to be here, to be with us. So we are not taking any of these lightly, and we're not taking it for granted. The conversation is just starting. And we hope to further collaborate with you. We hope to further, benefit more from your experiences. We want to do more with you as a school. We want to interact more with the industry. You have big projects. Yes, we are here. We have students. They are ready and eager to learn. I mean, Yuvraj is here. Yuvraj is working with me on generative AI. It's a very, very cool project. We had to, talk to Fraser Health about it. So we are doing a lot in here, and we will be happy, to do more with you. So thank you so much for your experience. Thank you so much for, what because you've poured out to us, and it meant a lot. Thank you. We can't thank you enough for that. And to you all, the participants, this is the beginning of the conversation. Don't let it end there, okay? Whatever you've learned today, do everything you can do with it. Take advantage of it. Don't be scared of opportunities out there. Sometimes I remember I met with a student, and then the student said, "Oh, I don't know if I should apply to those big companies." I said, "Yes, do. Because if you don't apply, you don't learn anything. Whether it's a rejection letter that you receive, it's a learning. And it's an opportunity for you to do well, to repackage yourself when you're applying for the next one. So don't shortchange yourself that, do I have enough skills? You have more than enough. You have more than enough. You have more than enough. I'll leave it here. I think the next slide. Yes. So the next slide, I would just like to appreciate everyone, for contributing many, many hours behind the scene. Alana, thank you so much for all you did. Alana doesn't want her face there, but I said, okay. Rachel, thank you so much for all you've done. David, Jason is not here because Jason is busy with the career fair. So, Kayla, thank you so much. And then thank you to myself as well. All right. So, and then the next one is the career fair. Yes. So the career fair is it's happening. We made it in such a way that it's an overlap. But being an overlap doesn't mean you miss anything because some people on this panel are going to be there as well. So the career fair is happening now until 3 p.m. at Event Hall in the Student Union building. So please connect. I think it is most important that you connect. If you can get business cards today, make sure you get business cards. Okay? If you have your resumes, make sure you drop resumes, with people. They may not have positions right now, but maybe tomorrow you'll be the next person. You'll be the first person that they can look at. Connect faces with one another. And then I wish you all the best for the rest of today. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for all that you've done.